Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this episode where I give away this HTML template of some user cards, and you can use this for anything you want, commercial or personal purposes, doesn't really matter. The link is in the description to the template, and also the link is in the description to the software that I used to create this. So the rest of the video, I'm just going to show you how I created this using that software, which is right here. So this is in the software now. So you can use this for free, and you can follow along to the tutorial. All right, so for those that do not want to follow along to the tutorial, just go to the link in the description and you can download this template for free. All right, so to begin with, we must start by creating a background. So to use this software, click the link in the description. It's totally free. So I'm going to say add element here, and I want to add an empty background. So I'm just going to click background like so. And on this one, I will add, maybe just make the, let me click on properties here, select the item, click on properties, and then reduce the background color to something more white, something like so. I just want to have a container of some kind. Then I'm going to add another element, and in this one, I'll add an empty div. So make sure this thing is selected when you do that. I didn't select it, so the div went outside it. So select it and then say add element, empty div. So it's in here inside this. So what I want to do is select, while this main thing is selected, I want to add some padding to it. So I'm just going to add maybe 20 pixels of padding by clicking on properties here. Select this guy, and I can just click and drag to something that I kind of like, something like this. Then I can go in and put precise values, like for example 350 pixels, and the height I can go to maybe 450, something like that. Okay, then we can go ahead and add some border radius here. Let's add something like 20 pixels. I think that will do just fine. And then I want to give it a background color of white. The foreground color should be black, maybe a slightly gray color like so. We can always adjust it later. All right, very good. Now I want to add a thing here. Let me add margin for this so that this can be separate depending on what's going on. So I'm gonna click on, let's see, maybe 10 pixels. Should be good of margin. Okay, so 10 pixels of margin. Yep, I think that works out. So I want to have a hover effect on this. I just want it to have a shadow once I hover over it. So I'm select this item and select this set hover styles, and whatever styles now I set will count as hover style. So what I want is to add a box shadow. So I'm going to put 30 pixels here and then reduce the intensity on the color here to something like that. Okay. And I also want it to look like it's coming out of the page when I hover on it. Oh, what did I just do? Oh, I selected another item. Sorry about that. Let me select this back. Now the hover effect actually works, as you can see, but I want it to move slightly up when I add a hover effect. So I'm going to click on set hover styles once more and go to add a transform. So I want to add a transform in the y-axis, is a negative y. So I want it to raise up by 10 pixels a little bit, like so, and then I can undo the hover style. So now it's like that, okay? But then I want a transition on this thing. So I'm just going to go to the styles themselves down here. I'm going to type transition and put a full colon, and I'll put O, and let's say 0.3 seconds, 0.3s, and then put ease and then semicolon. So don't forget that semicolon at the end. Right, so now when I hover, it should, that's not happening. It didn't save apparently. So let me select it again. Let me try transform. Oh, transition, sorry. Full colon, or 0.3 seconds is semicolon, like this. So let me just click another input box while keeping this item selected. That way I make sure the transition stays. It doesn't seem to have worked at all. I think, oh, there we go. So I think there's a malfunction here going on, probably a bug. Okay, we're gonna fix that in a moment. For now, what I want to do is just add an element. I want to add another div within here. So I'll say empty div, which is that. And then I want to enlarge it a little bit. I shouldn't have added those hover effects early enough, you know, just a disturbance. So I'm going to go to border radius and put 50%, move it to percent here. Then let me reduce its intensity to something like that. Increase its shape like that, and then move it slightly. Let me change its position to, first of all, I'll select the big one here, change its position to relative, so it can hold this one inside, and I'll grab this, change its position to absolute. That way I can click and drag it around like so. Okay. Then I'll select this big one here, and then say overflow, which is right there. Overflow hidden on both sides, like that. Okay, so this gives us this kind of thing we are seeing here, which is cool. I would like the transition to be, I don't know why. Let me try one more time. Transition all 0.3 seconds is semicolon. I don't know why it's not saving this. Maybe there was hover effect on it. I do not know. Okay, so it worked this time. I think maybe I had selected hover effect when putting that transition. I may have done that. Let me click on hover effect. No, I think I may have done something else, but nonetheless it's working now, which is awesome. Then I can go to the cursor and put a pointer on the cursor. That way it turns to a pointer when I hover on it. For some reason this is not working. So default cursor pointer, still not working. Okay, so if something isn't working when you try to, oh, I think maybe I had selected something else. Or not. Let's put pointer. Okay, now it's working. All right, so within here now what I want to add is an image. So I want to add, let me select this though. While it's selected, let's change text align to center. And then I want to add an image. So I'm gonna click on add element and go to the, let's see here, components. Let's add this rounded image, right? So it's over there. So behind this one, so I need to change the Z index of this one so it doesn't obstruct the contents of this other div. So there is Z index here. I can do it -1. Okay, I will leave it at 0. Select this one, give it a Z index of maybe, let me give this one -1 or 1. Select this one, give it -1. Okay, there we go. I think that works fine. So this one is -1, this one is 1. Then select this one. Let's do margin. Let's increase that to maybe 20 pixels margin, like so. I think that works. Great. Okay, so with the image, you can always change this image by clicking here on the image section, and then you can go to people and you can add any of these avatars here, something like that. Okay, that's great. Now select this one again, click on it, add element. This time I want to add an h1 tag, so that will be the username. So say something like Jane Jones. Okay, then let's add one more thing here. I want to add some div text. Maybe I'll try an h4 tag instead. And then here I'm going to say something like the profession, maybe something like web designer, like that. Okay, then maybe we can add a button this time. So I'm going to add an element and add a button. So there is the button. Now I will click and stretch this button. This hover effect is very, very annoying. I should have added that last. But anyway, we have it now. So a button there. Maybe the button can say something like follow. So click and edit in there, like so, follow. Maybe make it more roundish. So border radius, I'll change that to 30 pixels. I think that does a good job. Then finally, I want to add some, let's go to components and empty, add an empty div. I want to add some icons. So on this div, I'm going to go to width and just click to cancel out the width so it goes all the way. Then I can put a specific height by clicking and dragging, or I can simply go to height here and put a very specific number like 50. And in there, I want to add some icons. So go to icons, just click to add any of these icons, doesn't matter which one. Then I can select it and duplicate once more. Then I can select these guys in here, shift select, and add some margin. I guess I can do margin left and right. So margin left, I'll put maybe 10 pixels, margin right 10, something like so. All right, then select this guy and let's remove all the padding from it, like so. That's great. And then finally I can remove its background color by cancelling it out from there. Make sure the text color is something you would like to see, maybe a blue or a green. Let's see. Maybe a blue will be fine, something like this. Okay, great. So let's close that. Then I can click on each of these icons, go to the icon section here, click to add something. So maybe change the icons here. So we have Facebook as usual, we have Twitter, and finally we have LinkedIn. There we go. Okay. And finally I want to add a div at the end. So select the main component here and let's add an empty div. So empty div. I want to change this into a button. So select that. I'm gonna go to, where is this, width, and remove that width so it goes 100%. Then select this main one and remove its padding as well. So remove that padding from there. That way it covers the whole thing, right? Like so. Okay. I don't know why it does this when it hovers. This is weird. It's like the things do not move with it. For some reason, when it goes upward. Okay. what I'm going to do is go back to my hover settings on this and then just reset hover styles. So remove those guys. That removes everything. That way I don't have to deal with that. I can do that in the end when I'm done with everything. So what's going on here? This is insane. Okay. So now the hover settings have become Okay, so select, it's like the hover settings have swapped for some reason when I reset them. So I can select these. If this happens, you can, once you set the hover styles here, because now it will show you the actual styles that it has for the hover. So you can just copy those, reset, and then while it's still selected, I can paste here these styles like so. Oh, I did the reset here, and then I should remove that and then paste here. Okay. All right. So that was just an attempt to remove the hover styles, because once you select the hover styles, they're replaced in here. That's what you see. So you can easily copy them in case of anything. So anyway, this is what we have. I'll select this, go to its background color. I want something like an orange, and the color is white, which is fine. Then in there, I will add an element, maybe some text. So go to components and div text. And then in here, I'll just type something like view profile, like so. Okay. Now, if you want to increase the font size here, you can just select that, increase the font size from there to what you need, maybe 24, something like that. Also this one, let me reduce the intensity of the darkness, like that. Okay, so at least I have now a button here. A user card, which is awesome. Now I can add the hover styles finally, so I'll select that and let's do another attempt of setting hover styles. So I think the hover style still has a few bugs that I need to fix, so I'll get to it eventually. So I'll select that and go to the box shadow. So I would suggest adding hover styles as the final thing, because it seems to mess things up a little bit. So box shadow, let's add that, something like so. Okay, great. I think that does it. And then I can now release that, which is fine. So now if I hover, it does that. Okay, great. Very cool. Also, if I go back to set hover styles, I can still add that transform that I had added earlier. So I'll go to the translate Y and add just a little bit of translation. Maybe 5 pixels should do just fine. So select so that it goes something like so. Looks like it's lifting up from the page. All right, this is cool. Now I can close this for a moment. Actually, before I close it, I'll select this. Oh, let me select this and say edit, duplicate. So now it's duplicated, it's down here. So let's change a few things. It's hiding from there. Let me select this first of all. Go to properties. This is the main container here. I want to say text align center, like that, okay. And then the height, I will, instead of viewport height, I'll just say 100%. That should fit properly there. Or I can simply just remove the height attribute altogether. That way it will always maintain whatever the content, it will follow the content. Then I'll select this and do display inline block like that. Okay, so I'll do the same with, instead of doing the second one as well, I'll just delete the second one like so. Then I can select this one and just duplicate it a couple of times. So let me close this. While that's selected, edit, duplicate, 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 duplicate. Okay, so great, that's what we've got. All right, so now all I need to do is change the images on these to create some variety. So I'm gonna go to image section here and select a different human. Go here, select a different person. Go here, select somebody else. Go here, select a different user, like that. So let's write different names as well. Mary, Jack Doe. Let's try this one. Kate, Middle. Let's see here. What other names do I have in mind? Joanna. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. It's just for show. So now we have that awesomeness going on here, which is very cool. Now let's add a title here. So I'll select the main thing, add element, put an H1 tag. So it obviously go to the end. I can right click on it and say move to the top. That way it goes to the top. Then we can write something like our team. Okay, and then back to properties. I want to change a few things on this. So select that. And I want to increase the font size to 30. Well, I don't know why it's so. There we go. So our team. You can also do text transform. For example, you can take text transform to uppercase if you want, something like that. Okay. Let me close that, and there it is. So our team, and there it is. So let's try and preview this for a moment. I'll select this one more time. I just want to change the background of this main thing. So I'm going to do that. Background color to make it wider, more white, something like so. Okay, great. Now I can go to File and say Preview Page. And there it is. So this is what I have here. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay. Awesomeness. There's a slight thingy here that I don't like. The height is not enough. So, but I think it's okay for now. Okay, this is good. Now, if you want, you needed to edit any of these, you would need to. It would be better to delete the others, edit one, and then make duplicates. That would be much better. Okay, so this is the final template over here, and this is how it looks, right? Awesomeness. Very cool. Now we can also add hover effects on individual items here. Like for example, the image, you can add a borderline or something if you wanted to. That's up to you. So you just have to select it, select the hover styles and add those there. But otherwise this is done. Then I can finally save it. So I'll say save. I'm gonna call this our team as a project and save. Alrighty then. Alright, so the link is in the description. to both the software I used and the final template, so you can get both and use them as you please. Oh, and before I forget, you can always, once you're done, if you're following along to the tutorial, you can click on File and say Download here, and it's going to begin the download to download the thing, and you'll get a zip file like this. So let me click to open the containing folder of this, then I can extract it. So just extract it to the folder and open that folder. So you find an HTML file in there, and it's going to have the assets that were used, for example, the images used on this project, and the fonts, and of course the CSS files in there. Okay, so just open the HTML file and you're going to see it shows you the actual template. All right, so I'll see you in another tutorial.